Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. We're watching a clip of Pardon the Interruption, PTI, talking about Ohtani. He gave out his statement, talking about how he's never gambled in sports, and at this point, everyone knows the story about his interpreter potentially stealing, millions of dollars, and to pay off, an illegal bookie. And then the whole thing is kind of like, well, did Ohtani know? What's the story here? I've gone back and forth with this. I think it's so hard to form a true opinion because you just don't know. And people keep making extra leaps about things that they don't really have no idea what they're talking. They have no idea what they're talking about. It's one of those things where I heard someone say the other day, oh, well, how could so-and-so have access to all that money? That sounds shady. And it's like, when you make that much money and you're doing that much, yeah, you trust other people to do all these things for you. If I was a billionaire and I have my whole business of people doing all these things, running my business for me and stuff, like you'd be shocked by how little you're actually really looking at these things. Like, you're not looking at your bank account. Like, you have accounts from all over, multiple bank accounts. Your taxes are insane. I mean, like, you're traveling all the time. Like, your world is so massive that you're not controlling all of the little things. You're not doing your own laundry. You're not going to the grocery store. I mean, it's just so insane. Most of the time, you're not even buying things on your own card, your own money, right? Ohtani, when he's going out maybe to buy something for something like a meal, it may not even be his own money that he's spending. It's through the Angels, the Dodgers, some other organization, some other company. Like, it's just so much more complicated than people understand. And another comment was about, why would the bookie give just his interpreter all that, line of credit, essentially, let him rack up that much debt. And it's like, well, because if he knows he's Ohtani's interpreter, of course he's going to do that. He's going to be like, gamble all you want, because if you are truly attached to Ohtani, I know I'm going to get my money. And if I don't, it's like, it's at the very least, it's a calculated risk by the bookie to be like, okay, because if that guy skips out and doesn't pay, the bookie doesn't necessarily lose money, right? He only is losing money if he has to pay, the interpreter, right? Otherwise, if the bookie, so it ends up being a good play for the bookie, is what I'm ultimately trying to say. But I want to see what Wilbon has to say about this, and see, how they kind of break this down, because you do seem to get people that are saying this is a disgrace. Clearly, he knows Ohtani. Get him out. And other people are like, well, wait a second. Was he just ripped off? So let's take a listen, and we can break it down further from there.
Ohtani accused his former friend and interpreter, Ipe Mizuhara, of stealing his money in the amount of $4.5 million to cover Mizuhara's own gambling debts with an illegal bookmaker. Wilbon, what questions do you still have?
Tony, as I told you yesterday, I'm really reticent on this story, intentionally so, because I don't know Shohei Ohtani. I mean, there are a lot of athletes who've lost a lot of money in their lives, and I don't know whether it was necessarily betting, but I know some of them, and I don't know what the questions are in their lives, and I've followed all their lives, some of them since high school. I don't know Ohtani, nothing about him really, other than he's a great baseball player in a way that hardly nobody's ever been. So I hear the categorical denials, and I'm like, okay, like, how am I supposed to question that? What is it that I'm supposed to doubt? What is it that I'm supposed to be cynical about? I don't have those, because I don't have any sense of Ohtani and what he is. Tony, some things strike me here, and people will say, well, wait a minute. How do people close to athletes of this magnitude, how do they get access to their money? And you and I both know people who have had the magnitude of Ohtani, maybe not this much money, but people had access, and in real time, years and decades ago, you and I would go, oh my God, how did this happen? How did they get access? They do get access, because athletes have to trust people they figure are more sophisticated and savvy than they are, and they're often insecure, and they are young, and they are not sophisticated, and they turn these things over to people, whether it's friend or advisor or whatever. And so, Tony, knowing that as a backdrop in general, I don't know what to think about Ohtani. I still don't, and I don't know that I will if he holds 10 more press conferences in 10 days.
Yeah, so I have the
Well, and I think that I just want to comment real fast because I think that's such a good point, because that's what I was trying to say, where, again, let's say I hit it big and I start making a ton of money and I have all this fortune and fame and all of this, like, you're going to trust your friends and family and your close associates with this information. I got a couple best friends in my life where absolutely, here's my bank account information. Like, especially if I'm like going to be bringing them up with me in this random example of me becoming rich and famous because I'm become a world famous actor, right? My entourage, like, yeah, I got my boy and he's going to have all the access to my bank accounts and my records and all of this. And it's like, yep, I trust you, dude. Whatever you say, like, you have it all. And especially me being me, I'm definitely deleting all my bank account information from my phone, right? Because I know people are going to be chasing after me. So I'm like, I'm going to have nothing on there. So I'm going to barely be able to even like check it, honestly. I'm super paranoid as well. And so I'm going to be like, this is all you. Like, I trust you. I'll never second guess you. I'll never doubt you. I know you're not going to rob me blind. But then the reality is that my friend could have gotten in a gambling situation. And now he just slides some money over here and slides some money over there. Like, it's these things when you're talking about so much large sums of money. Think of it this way, okay? For those of you who maybe only have a couple $1,000s in your checking account, I don't know how regularly you're checking your account. And the truth is that if someone took $5 here, $10 there, you probably would not know. I would not know. Okay. I mean, it's just like someone takes $5 here, $10 there. You're just not going to know. You're really not going to know unless you're really looking at it. And especially if you're a foreigner. And now it's like some of these other charges that you're just like, I don't know. Like, what is this? Right. You're either reading it in a different language, or you're like looking for things and you're like, I mean, if anyone ever seen a charge card or like a debit account, like, there's always some of these random charges. Sometimes you order something online or in person, and when you go online and you look at what the account withdrawal is, it doesn't even match up necessarily, right? Like, it's like some other company, and you're like, what company is that? Like, there's times that happened to me, and then I call and I go, I think my card has been showed. I'm like, what company is this? And they're like, oh, it looks like they're associated with, I'm going to make up something right now, ESPN. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, that's ESPN? Oh, I did order this off of ESPN, right? And then it's like one of those things. So, but we're just talking about more and more larger, massive sums of money, and with people who are just making so much money and constant money coming in and money spending in, out, that it's just like even a charge that you see or a withdrawal, it just gets lost right away. Especially when Ohtani, you think Ohtani's playing 162 games, doing with all this type of stuff, traveling all over the country and the world for that matter, and you think he's really knows exactly what's going on every aspect of his life. There's just no way. I mean, there's just no way. And again, what my gut tells me is that he did know, and then he did try to help out his interpreter, but not that like his interpreter was like placing bets on his behalf or anything like that. I think it was just like, dude, I made a mistake. Please help me. What am I going to do? Yada, yada, yada. And I think that's what it was. Or I could see that it was that the interpreter's back was just so far up against the wall and he's like, oh my God, I'm spiraling and I just got to steal this money from Ohtani. Like, this guy's threatening my life. Like, again, I only know so much and I've only dug so deep, but I could see that being an aspect as well.
this one question. Is
Okay.
Ohtani telling the truth? I want to believe that he's telling the truth. I want to believe that he is the victim of a sting here. I want to believe that. But I wanted to believe that Alex Rodriguez did not take PEDs when he said to the whole country, I never had these things. And I wanted to believe that Ryan Braun did not take PEDs, right? And I wanted to believe that Nick Saban, when he told me to my face categorically, he was not leaving the Miami Dolphins for Alabama. But in each one of those cases, I found out that that was not to be the case. Maybe this time it is the case. Maybe Ohtani is telling the complete truth. I agree with you that it hinges on access to bank accounts, and you would automatically say, well, it's crazy. But I think it's credible, as you think it's credible, that Ohtani had this one trusted friend and interpreter who was basically with him 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so he gave him this because he was the gatekeeper. So I do find that credible, and that's why I sort of, and this gave Ipe, this gave him opportunity and motive because he owed $4.5 million.
Right,
so,
right.
you know.
But if he owed all this money, and if he was this close to Ohtani, like, and this is where I don't know enough about this, so if you guys do, let me know, like, couldn't he have talked to Ohtani and said, I made a mistake, I gambled, I rung up all this thing, you're making so much money, obviously, this $4.5 million is nothing to you. Can you give me like a bonus, right? A Christmas bonus. Like, I don't know, you know, a big, massive raise, whatever it may be, you know? And like, it's like, I don't know if just the money can never come from him, but it's like, it is weird. It's like, if I am a professional athlete and I, you know, I'm a baseball player, this exact example, right? I'm a baseball player and I have a masseuse, you know, and he's just gambling on all these sports. He's gambling on baseball, gambling. And he's taking the money that I'm paying him for his service, for his services, right? It's a legal transaction that it's completely legal. I give him, you know, $100 or whatever for the massage. He then takes that $100 and then bets on baseball with an illegal bookie. It's not my fault. It's not my problem. That has nothing to do with me. In the same situation, I wonder where if now that guy comes to me and says, I made a terrible mistake, dude. I've been, you know, your masseuse. I've been helping you. I've been your physical therapist, you know, everything for years now. You know, I made a mistake. I am in so much debt now. Can you please give me, you know, some money? Like, I understand that it's bad optics, but at the same time, it's like, I'm just either helping a friend out or I'm giving a bonus. It's like, okay, fine. I'm just going to give you like an advance, or I'm giving you a raise right now. Like, what is, you know, what is illegal about that? But it is a weird thing, because theoretically then I don't know if these you know, if like Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL has these rules where it's like, you know, can your friends and family gamble, right? Like, can Patrick Mahomes' brother gamble on football? I really don't know, because gambling is so foreign to me, honestly. And so if he's not like an employee within the organization, you know, can he gamble? And if the answer is like, yes, he can legally gamble, then it is an interesting thing, because it's like, you know, if I'm paying this guy for some service, you know, it seems like it could be a loophole. It just seems like this is the problem with just gambling in general. And you obviously can't I don't think you can make too much of a blanket statement where it's like, none of your friends and family can gamble. It's like, well, then what constitutes a friend and what constitutes a family at that point? You know, like, it's just like, it's a weird situation to be in. And I think, you know, with Ohtani, especially with him not speaking English and being, you know, the fact that he is foreign born, it does make it harder for him, for just like a fan, an outside perspective, to like view his body language, see how sincere and genuine he is. Like, it's just harder to tell, right? You know, we need our own interpreter and translator in that regard. But my gut tells me that it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think Ohtani was just completely blind and duped 100%, but I also don't think it's some of the more extreme examples that some people are, or the extreme accusations that people are making, where they're just like, he obviously knew, he was betting and this, that. Like, I personally don't believe that. But the only way that would be true is if Ohtani was like essentially like a gambling addict and he just couldn't control it, you know, himself. Then, you know, but that's a different story entirely. But otherwise, I feel as though this interpreter had access to his money, was, either making, these bets without Ohtani having any idea, and then had to straight up steal the money from him, or just be like, yo, I'm in a bad situation. I've been gambling. I'm just trying to, make it in America too, just like you, except I don't get the $1 billion contract like you. Can you please help me out? Please, please, please. And then, Ohtani was like, yeah, like it just, and then it spiraled out of control. And then that's where they had to change and say, no, he stole it from me, because I guess it, it is illegal and wrong. Not like illegal, but, it's wrong to take that money. You're accomplished. You're an accomplice at that point. So yeah, definitely a messy situation, and not what Major League Baseball needs at all. But it's drama, that's for sure. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Please let me know in the comments below. I would absolutely, want to get into some discussions, get into some fights. Either way, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.